Okay, this is just a quick update. I made some sandbags here, and I was doing everything from looking at, buying a pre-made thing and stuff like that. And it was just too expensive for a piece of terrain. So what I did is, I've done this in the past with some air dry clay, and just rolled it out. And then what I did is a kind of a modified technique. Is the bottom layer of this is actually kind of, it stays together as a ribbon, and I just make basically ribbons of stuff, and then to add little details and to make it actually look like sandbags. So if you get real close up, you can still kind of see where they're still connected, but for the most part, if you stand, once you get back a little bit, the illusion is plenty. But then what I did is to give it that texture, I pull out a piece of just simple gauze bandage, and then while the air dried clay is wet, essentially just tap it all over the place, and it actually gives it a real fine texture. So, a little bit of air dry clay goes a long way. And let's see if I can get in close and you can see. No, there we go. So you can see where it gives it texture. You don't have to be too terribly neat about it. Again, these are just sandbags. So, and then each of them comes out a little irregular because while the bag may be itself, when you have it filled up, it just gives it all that different look. So, and some of them I punched a hole in it to make it look like there's a bullet hole. And once you throw a coat of paint on it and let it, some washes and dry brush, these things will look pretty darn realistic. So, I made a couple of ribbons for the piece that's going to go around, and then I just made a whole bunch of individuals so I can use for other pieces, and I may put some more on the piece just kind of to see how it feels. And again, this all is but a couple dollars worth of air dry clay. Probably the biggest piece behind all of this is you've got to let it dry. So this does take about 24 hours. Nice part is it's summertime, so I just stuck it in the window on this piece, on my same piece of plastic card, so it didn't stick anything, and lo and behold, dried out pretty darn quick. So once this dries, now what I did do is these are then just stacked on top of each other, and I just used some, believe it or not, this is not a tub of ranch dressing. This is actually liquid nails. I had the standard tube of the construction adhesive, and so couldn't find my caulking gun, and so what I did is I just cut the tube open, put it in a couple of those jars that you get everything from, and that just helps. Basically, that just helps by that color and everything like that. It'll blend, and to be honest, I haven't found anything that liquid nails can't bond. So these pieces will do this, because when I've used white glue, the air dry clay is still really porous, and it just sucks up the white glue and basically doesn't stick. The things just pop apart really easy. So you do need a really strong glue to hold this stuff together. Just stacking the air dry clay and kind of pushing it down on top of it won't stick enough. So you really need to get something that will bond these together and essentially hold the whole piece. But again, making it inexpensive, where if you use, if I was to do this in green stuff, this amount of green stuff probably would have been 10-15 bucks. This was probably 25 cents worth of clay. So, and again, if this all screws up, I literally throw it away, do it again. It's not a big deal, but it makes it very easy to repeat. And again, the glue makes it simple. So, and the other part of the update, just to kind of pull this in here, is I've got the banners done. I hooked the chain on. Let's see if I can lay this out here real quick. So there's the chain it's going to hang from. That's all tacked on dry, and I'm going to hopefully in a little bit do a mock-up of where it's going to go. Then once I've got basically where it's going to go, I'll paint the wood, probably paint the back of this either a dark brown or a black, and then look at hanging these on the final spots on the building, doing some washes on the front to dirty it up a little bit, and then get pretty close to the home stretch on this thing. So I get really ambitious this weekend. Should hopefully be able to get this done. So Might be a couple videos or one big long one coming out. So talk to you guys later. Okay, here is the sandbag barricade with a base black primer, and then the first is, I don't know if you can see that color there, is a mixture then of black with this, they just call it dark brown craft paint, and that's just to, again, to cut the, from being stark black. And so my next piece, I'm just giving it a couple more minutes to dry, and then I'm going to take that, again, that brown, and then do a real, probably almost a wet brush with it to give the majority of it, but leave a lot of the recesses, this darker color, and then eventually move it up to a lighter color. I've got like a tan, and then probably then hit it with another wash, and then seal it up and put it down on the model, and then probably dust it with some weathering powder. So I'll give you guys a shot back here when I get the next coat on. Okay, here it is now with essentially 2 dry brushes, and just so you can see the colors that I'm using here, so I can get a better light. Again, just use that tan color, and I just kind of left a little, let the dry brush be pretty damp, and I used a really big brush, so just so you get an idea of the size of the brush I'm using here. Again, a really big brush, and then I'm letting this stay kind of damp, and then so what it did is it helped pull it out, but it didn't overwhelm it with making it a very light color. It kind of blended it a little bit. So the video doesn't do it all the justice, but you can see the kind of like in the cracks here, you get a little bit of the deepest part of it still shows a black, so those lines show up, and then you get a gradient from that darker brown with the black background, with the black base gives it a darker color, so these tones kind of go up and down. But it gives it a much more little, to me it looks like a decent natural shadow, and it has some of the texture and stuff showing up on it, so you actually can see the details. It actually makes them kind of look like they're bags. It gives it a little bit more. You can see then the bullet holes, and then where I kind of slice the sides of them to make it look like they were stitched. And it's not the idea. They're all supposed to have a little bit of random and different feel to them. So, as you get up close, you can tell what it is and how it's done. But as you back away, the illusion fulfills what I wanted to do. And I'm just going to hit it with one more dry brush. Going to hit it with actually it's the first time I've actually been using this stuff. Is one of the dry paints, and give this a shot. See if I can have it hit just again some of the edges. Give it a little bit more pop, and I'll give you guys a shot of that when it's done. Okay, everybody, here's pretty much the finished piece. So I will kind of zoom in a little bit and show you what I've done. So here's the sandbags. I showed you that previously, and just so you get an idea of what we're looking at here, is put some stuff. There's the grass in here still drying. There's still some watered down PVA, so that's why this kind of looks like cow patties right now. But the end, got everything done. What I did in here on the floor is I went in and used the Minotaur Ghost tints and gave the floor a blue tinge. This is a different piece. This is coming out much bluer than what it really looks like, but it just gives this washed out dirty look. And then I rubbed a bunch of different weathering powders and stuff into it, so it looks like it's all worn out. And then there's the first banner. As you can see, I got that hanging on the inside there. Just took a nail, drilled it in, glued that piece down, and just hit everything with a matte varnish. Again, the upper floor stuff. Then just started putting bushes and stuff everywhere, kind of in the front face of the building. So let me spin this around. So, and again, the second banner, and then did some vine work up the front, more bushes along that side, and then kind of the last piece here again, just getting the outside of the building. And that is pretty much it. Again, just kind of dirtied everything up, got it all, looking like a lot of the stuff does tend to look for Warhammer. And there is, and there it is with the camo net. So again, you can play it with or without. And then where's my, this is kind of my test figure, you know, pardon the paint job. He's just a cheeky figure to kind of give an idea for scale, stuff like that. So, you know, that gives you an idea of how how tall a model could be to go under there where you wouldn't then have to remove this. And he's actually standing on top of a rock and stuff, so you could easily be inside of here, and you know, now you kind of get an idea of the scale of how much room there is. So again, just kind of one last spin around it. There's another side of it, and such. So I think it'll be a pretty good playable piece. Give it some, you know, again, some more character. And let's just pop him. Kind of the theater shot there as he's sitting up on top. And then again, the last piece, if you need to get the camo net out of the way, that's how easy it is to get it out. So I'm pretty much going to call this the last version, the last one of this one. There's still one friend of mine who wants me to put stained glass windows down here, and I'm going to work on that. I've got to create a template and then find actually some good pictures to put in here, but I can do that later. But at this point, I'm going to kind of call this one and start coming up with the next terrain piece to work on. So hopefully the next week I'll decide what that is, and then I'll do an initial intro video and kick off that piece. Thanks.